Starting, there we go. We are live, Final Cut Pro TV. We're live with Sam Mestman from LumaForge today. How's everybody doing? Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Richard. How's everything going with you?
Pretty darn good.
What's happening?
Oh, I got to turn. Host, wait a second. I got to turn the YouTube channel off. I don't know if you heard that or not. Did you hear that?
Which part?
Oh, okay. I'm just hearing it myself. I was hearing playback of the YouTube version of this coming back in my earphone about 2-3 seconds late. So that's taken care of.
Oh, yeah. No, I heard a little bit of that. So I wasn't sure if that was just my headphones or what was going on with the setup.
Typically I monitor the YouTube channel. So we can, so I can just keep track of any comments or anything as much as I can. It's not a perfect science because obviously I'm talking to you. So
we're going to get there. I mean, it's, this stuff is still manages to be extremely hard. So anyway, we're doing it.
Yeah, I'm very pleased the way that Google has made it possible to do these multiple person interviews. And then they broadcast it to YouTube simultaneously, and they don't charge anything.
Yeah, I mean, for certain aspects of what they do, I think it's incredibly useful. I think it's like anything else. It's like figuring out what you're going to do with your platform and where it's going to go and how, people want to consume things. But the technology is all there. That's the really interesting thing about all of this is that the technology is so available at this point where anything you want to do, you can pretty much compete with the largest broadcasters in the world. It's just a question of whether you can deliver content that people want to see. That's
exactly it. People think, oh, I'm going to get a YouTube channel. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But if you don't have anything of value, nobody's going to tune in, or very few people are going to tune in. That's absolutely true. So you're on vacation right now, right? You're not busy doing anything, right?
No, we're going to be off until May. This is the quiet season for us. It's a little bit like a hurricane going on at the moment. Basically, we're trying to herd all of the cats. Like that's literally what's happening right now. And everybody's got a few too many things to do. And it's a lot of fun. And it's going to be exhausting for probably at least the next month or so.
Right.
But it's going to, I don't know, it's weird. I mean, we wonder sometimes how important NAB is to us, but I think it is the one time of the year that we get to see everybody. And so what we're really trying to do is capitalize on that. And also really bring a sense of community back to the show floor. Like that's the thing that's most important to us is we are not like the other companies that are there. Like we're far more interested in getting people together and having conversations and everybody coming in and learning than we are sitting around and telling people to buy our stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things I like about LumaForge. And not only that, but you guys give away so much free tutorials and stuff and like the Faster Together stage, that's free for people coming to see it. I know it's costing you a fortune, but I mean.
Well, let's break it down like this. So we thought we were going to get a booth this year, and we were actually going to get 2 booths and turn that into the LumaForge corner and all of that. And when you break down the numbers on that, just to build the booths itself by saying, you know what, we're going to, instead of going to the show floor where we're going to have 2 large booths, the construction on that alone, just to get one of these companies to build a booth for you is like $60,000.
You've got to be kidding me.
No.
For one?
For like what we wanted to do, like it was going to be like, we're saving $60,000 by not building the booths on the show floor and doing all of the union stuff and doing things like that. And we thought about it and we were like, well, we were going to do Faster Together on the show floor anyway.
Right.
This is not counting what it costs to actually just rent the booths themselves. So for that money, we decided, you know what? The workflow suite's a lot of fun. People like it. We probably would just get more people to come just by having a larger workflow suite on the show floor. We can save $60,000, and we can put that money towards anything else that like
anything. Exactly. Anything
like,
else.
it literally occurred to us we could fly out to see every inbound lead that came in for like the next 2 or 3 months, and actually like give them an in-person demo for the amount of it would cost to build the booths, which are really just like a bunch of like dividers and things, and like, you know, it's like 6 months rent in the office, you know. It's
right.
It's insane. And when you think about what you're really getting for that, or the other option is get all of your friends together, give them an amazing experience, take care of everybody, and put on a show that like people around the world are going to be excited about, that's going to carry through for the next few months. And you can do that for a fraction of the cost, which seems like a better marketing option.
It absolutely does. I had no idea. 60,000. I was thinking, you know, 10,000 or whatever. 60,000 is ridiculous.
Well, so you're going to rent the booth. That's the first part of it. But then if you don't want your booth to be like a baseball card booth, then you've got to get a company to start designing it and going on down the line. And like, because of the way these things are set up, it's just literally like lighting money on fire.
And I had no
as a company,
idea.
We were looking at these numbers and we're like, why are we doing this? What is like, let's just get 2 meeting rooms next to each other, turn it into a party, do something completely different, and give people a place to come in and sit down and have a conversation and still come and see everything that we're doing. We're going to have a ton of Macs in there, and then we're going to have 30 presentations that are basically the TED Talks of post-production, and like, we're not losing anything.
Absolutely. But you know, I'm really glad that this Faster Together stage is in a separate room. You know, it's just so loud there on the floor. I said that before, but it's extremely loud and confusing, and you know, it's a lot of excitement going on, and that way we can concentrate better on the presentations that you guys have.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what we're doing is in one room. We have 2 rooms right next to each other in the back of the South Hall. We have Faster Together, which is going to be on one side, which is essentially a larger room than we had last year at the Marriott, which was across the street, is now going to be towards the back of the South Hall in a meeting room. And then immediately right next door, we had the workflow suite at the Encore last year. And now right next to Faster Together is going to be the workflow suite, where you can come in and you can see Final Cut, Resolve, Premiere, pretty much anything you'd ever want to see in a collaborative environment, and also come hang out with the Faster Together presenters who are going to be cycling in and out, you know, and essentially get demos, ask questions. Philip Hodgetts from Intelligent Assistance, Roger Bolton from CoreMelt, and Ronnie Cortons is going to be out there. And
Ronnie's coming this time? That's fantastic.
Ronnie's going to be out there, and pretty much anyone you'd ever want to see, you know, in like our community will be either hanging out over at Faster Together or at the workflow suite, you know, over the course of those 3 days.
So it looks, the place is actually the South Lower Hall, room S112 LMR.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know how, I don't know how to access that. I know where the lower hall is. Is it directly connected from there?
So
I thought I turned that off, but apparently I didn't.
So S112 LMR and S113 LMR are our 2, and it's the lower South Hall. So basically, we're in the same hall as like the Blackmagic booth, which is usually up towards the front, and we're going to be towards the middle back area. And there's a bunch of meeting rooms off on the right-hand side. When you're walking down, if you go to the right-hand side and walk in a straight line down the South Hall, you're going to hit us on the lower level.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. But anybody that knows, anybody that's coming for Final Cut Pro is going to know where that is.
Where all the post-production stuff always tends to be.
There you go. Fantastic.
And all you need is a exhibitor's badge, and you can get right in. And so basically, if you're going to go see the other booths, just come see ours. And really, the real advantage is in the workflow suite, we're going to have like 40 or 50 chairs that you can basically grab and sit at a table and talk to somebody. So if you're looking for a lounge or an oasis when you're at the show floor, like this is, and you're looking for people to talk to, that's the place to go.
Okay, that's excellent. So I was talking to Noah Cadner on the last Final Cut Pro Radio, and he told me that you guys were involved in last year's FCPEXchange, which I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So basically, you know, like I think it's going to be bigger and better this year, but our issue is we just got caught in the trying to do too much. So this year it's going to be a little bit easier. Like we hadn't done Faster Together before, so we had a thing where we were trying to shuffle everyone over to FCPEXchange and all that, and we purposely didn't schedule any Final Cut talks to overlap. This year, we're able to plan it a little bit better and do more things. And now everything's on the show floor, and it's just a question of where you're going to be. So Monday is going to be basically the Final Cut day. And like, you know, it's essentially us, FCP Works, and Ripple Training helping put this FCPEXchange together. And then we're all going to go to the Guru Gathering Monday night. We've got it Faster Together, a host of Final Cut related talks and announcements over Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And the bottom line is, like, there will not be a dull moment. It's looking like there's going to be something at the Super Meet, and which I can't officially announce yet because it's going to be one of two things. So there is, if you're in the Final Cut community, you will be very well represented this year. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to see. And the nice thing is that really at no time is there going to be someplace that you can't go. So a lot of this stuff is knowing where to go and when you're at NAB, but we're trying to really make that easier for people.
So last year, the LumaForge had a you had a thing on at the Super Meet in the lobby. Are you doing that again this year?
So we're going to be in the Super Meet as well. There's also going to be, I'm working with Michael Horton to get something Final Cut related up at the Super Meet as well. And I have to keep that up under wraps because it's going to be one of two things, both of which will be very cool that people will be excited about. And I can't announce it yet. So
that's fine. That's fine.
But and mostly the reason I can't announce it is because I don't know which one it's going to be. So but we're working on that. So there's definitely going to be something Final Cut related at the Super Meet. We're going to be there sponsoring. So we'll have a booth there. We're also trying to figure out where we're going to be doing our post-production grievances, whether that's going to be in the workflow suite or whether that's going to be at the Super Meet. But we're encouraging people to come down and file their post-production grievances in any piece of software around anything that they'd like to see changed. And we're going to be broadcasting those. We're basically, our mission this year is to make this fun. Like, I think there is in many ways, fun has been removed from the show floor. Everything's gotten very corporate and very salesy, and everyone talks in marketing speak and feeds and speeds, and we have no interest in that.
Right. So let's talk about this Grievance Booth for people who don't know what it is. So basically, you're going to have a booth that people can come in and complain about anything post-production, software, workflows, hardware, and you're going to record them.
Yeah, pretty much. We're going to be recording people's complaints and either filing them to the people they're complaining about or posting them on social media. And that's it's just something fun that we're like, what's something fun that we can sort of do? You know, and this was one idea that we had. So I think that's going to be in the workflow suite and possibly over at the Super Meet this year. And really, like, it's post-production and generally filmmaking and all of these things. I feel like we have a tendency to get so bogged down in the technical side of these things where, like, it stops being fun. And I don't think that's why any of us got into it.
Not me.
So
yeah,
we're really trying to create a sense of fun on the show floor. If anyone has additional ideas, let us know. But the bottom line is, if you're going to be out there and you're looking for community and a conversation, that is what we're designing. And if we're not meeting that need, we want to know what we can be doing to do that. So we're really hoping that basically if you're looking to have a good time, you're going to come out. Also, if you come to the workflow suite during NAB, we will tell you the destination of the Faster Together party on Wednesday night. So
there you go. Now you're talking.
So really the goal, which is, you know, and anyone who was there last year, like we had a really good time on the suite Wednesday night. We're doing something similar again this year. We're getting a specific suite and, you know, it's going to be open to anyone who can find their way there.
So one of the highlights from your party last year was Michael Horton dancing. We're
trying to reserve him again for on-site entertainment. He's got a high hourly rate, but we're trying to work something out with his agent.
So LumaForge, I noticed on Twitter, you were at South by Southwest, right?
Yeah, our CEO Josh was out at South by, basically doing some research out there, and you know, I think we very much hit a different segment of the market. So this was like research for how to better find our people, and we think a lot of them are at South by Southwest. We think a lot of them are at some of these alternative media environments. And we're looking honestly at like, what is the best way to reach people that is not just NAB, LA or Vegas and New York and some of these places? What are some other shows that we should be at? And we are analyzing that and trying to figure out what are some creative things that we can start doing to basically get awareness out to not the same old markets, because the reality is a lot of the markets that are out there are going to a very buttoned down sort of avid centric market that we have no interest in.
Right. I'm not sure if Apple does either.
No, I don't think they do. And I think it's the smart move. Like, that market is shrinking, and the number of people and shows. I mean, like, take this for example. How many Richard Taylors were there 5 to 10 years ago?
I don't know. Total, I don't have no idea.
So, and like, how many people were talking about YouTube stars, you know, 5 to 10 years ago?
They weren't.
Okay. So if you think about that, right, most of these YouTube stars who are doing well, not only do they not live in Los Angeles, but now they have teams of people that are springing up around what they do. And the same goes for if you look at social media, it's turning more and more into video. And who's making that video? It's small businesses, it's startups, it's places like this that are now discovering that they need to have a video strategy for the first time, and they have no concept of how to do it. So the idea that we're all fighting over this Netflix avid show market, it's not that we're opposed to having that business. It's just, it's a very small fraction of actually what we believe is the available video market. Absolutely.
You know, we've talked about this before. It's such a tiny little market. It may be prestigious in some circles, but you know, I'm glad that that would be terrible.
Oh, I think you froze for 1 second there. I think, okay, you're back. But I think you were about to say you don't think it's what Apple's focused on. And I guarantee you it's not what Apple's focused on. And honestly, we should be glad that they're not focused on it. And
exactly.
And I think the biggest problem I think that people have is they feel like the redheaded stepchild when they talk about being a Final Cut 10 user. And I think if there's one thing I would love to see changed, it's that mentality that somehow they are less than because Hollywood is not using their software. I would actually say it's completely the opposite. They should consider themselves innovating and forward thinking because Hollywood is not using their software. And
that's a good point. So reverse, yeah.
You know, I think it's going to be very interesting to watch over the next 2 years as Hollywood realizes how less relevant it is and has become over the, you know, I would say wide scale, like how small its actual footprint is. I mean, when you even think about the large media networks, how many people are really dialed into, like, I don't get my news from CNN, Fox, or any of these other places that are all owned by the same 5 companies. You
Right.
know, I look at a whole bunch. I have trusted sources that I get information from that have nothing to do with any of these things, and I think that's sort of the media of the future, is basically who are the trusted sources that communities go and relay information to and from. And it's not going to be these large corporations for the most part. They'll still be there, and I think a large section of the populace will still be dialed into that. But I think there's an entire alternative media network that is growing, that is going to essentially live completely outside of that system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go over some of the faster together presenters that you can talk about. You can't talk about most of them, but you can talk about some of them.
We'll be announcing soon. I think it's probably going to be like next week we're going to be announcing, but you know, we definitely have Michael Cioni back, and I'll be presenting a basic approach to color correction. I'll also be I'll be giving the LumaForge keynote as well, which is going to be kicking off faster together. We have another LumaForge presenter who's Raybar, who's going to be doing logic isotope workflow.
I'm looking forward to that.
And Patrick is, well, I think actually Patrick's going to be doing something with mobile and the iPad this year. But he's also we're going to be doing a larger HDR case study that's going to be coming, although he's already largely given that away on Moviola if people are looking for more HDR info. We have some interesting product announcements that I can't talk about at this point. But
right. You mean LumaForge, LumaForge itself.
Well, okay, so there's LumaForge stuff where we have some interesting things coming, but there's also other vendors who are going to be debuting new things at Faster Together that will be forthcoming as well. We have oh, well, see, this is the problem, is I don't know what I can talk about here. But well, let's see. We have, who can I talk about? So Chris Fenwick's going to be doing After Effects and a Final Cut workflow. Brad Olson is going to be doing Off the Tracks. So he's going to be giving an Off the Tracks creative workflow presentation on how that was made. I think you may have a few things to say about that, Richard.
Exactly.
And Tony Gallardo is going to be, well, he's doing a bunch of things for us, actually. Philip Hodgetts is going to be both in the workflow suite and is going to be debuting some things with Lumberjack Builder. Roger Bolton's doing cloud transcription and editing. And Sven Papa is going to be doing the one thing that will make your editing better he's on the panel. I think he also has another presentation. See, this is why I shouldn't be doing this right now, because
That's okay. So let's talk about your presentation. You said you're going to be doing color stuff again. I mean, I'm really interested in that, because I like to learn that.
So basically, it's like, I think one of the main issues with tutorials and education at the moment is they might tell you about all of the different buttons you can use, but they're not giving you kind of a reliable process to approach your shots and in what order you should be using some of the tools and how to get to and from between different things. So my goal with my presentation is to give you a little bit of a formula to approach grades and shots with the Final Cut 10 tools that are in there.
Yes. So I can use the color wheels, but the curves I'm not that familiar with. I mean, I've seen a couple of tutorials where they do they can isolate a color and make things black and white around it. But there's other things you can do with the curves that I'd like to find out about myself.
Well, and I won't be diving into all of that. I'll be telling you, basically, I'm going to be like, here's how I approach shots. And this is sort of the order of operations. And also, here's how I set up a layout. Here's why I do a few things with Final Cut. Here's how I set up my keyboard shortcuts and how to quickly jump to and from between shots and get to grades. And then on into approaching each grade from a basic, like, do this, then do this, then do this, then do this. And then here's a couple things to maybe look out for so that you can wrap your head around a reliable way to approach a shot. And then you can look at some of these other tutorials to get deeper into some of the functionality, but at the very least, you have a little bit of a map to get started where if you follow this thing, you'll get probably something pretty decent every time.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So I'm also interested in the Logic workflow. I know you said that it's much better going back and forth from Final Cut to Logic now.
It is way better. You know, so basically, and I can tell this too because this is a Final Cut audience. Basically, the Logic isotope combo is what we would recommend most places use at this point. If you're in a Final Cut workflow, using Logic is almost a no-brainer because of the Logic XML and how well that's working. But also, Logic works really well with isotope. And Raybar, who has a master's in sound and has been using Pro Tools for years, we got him to go over to Logic on the short film project, and this is going to be where this story should be coming out next week on fcp.co, which is basically the short film project, the workflow video behind each of those movies, and then it's going to be a 4-part series. One of those series is going to be Raybar's journey with sort of Logic on 2 of those movies, and how essentially he's like, yeah, I don't need Pro Tools for anything now. I just probably would use Logic. And that would also compare versus his experience trying to do similar things in Audition and deciding that Logic was actually where he'd like to be spending his time.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never used Audition itself. I have used Pro Tools before, but not the recent versions.
You can't use isotope the way that he was using it with Audition is the main hurdle at this point. And there's just some other functionality issues with Audition at the moment where I think right now it's kind of a 2-horse race between Fairlight also is not ready for prime time. I'd be interested to see what they're going to announce with Fairlight at NAB this year. But at the moment, we would say the only 2 viable sound design applications are Logic and Pro Tools at this point.
So wasn't Fairlight, I thought that was a standalone audio app before it got incorporated into Resolve.
It was. And now it's been incorporated into Resolve. I wouldn't say that it's broken so much as it isn't developed enough yet to be really viable for most people. Sorry,
Okay.
I lost you for a second there. Did I get cut off, or I wasn't sure you froze?
Yeah, go ahead and repeat that about Fairlight.
I would say that Fairlight is really just not there yet in terms of how Blackmagic has rolled it into Resolve at this point. And it is not a complete solution and one that most audio professionals would find lacking at this point. That may change it. That may change at NAB, I think, but that's the current state of affairs. Is I would say I would put Logic #1 at this point if you're in the Final Cut world.
Right.
Most people use Pro Tools. That's the de facto standard. And then I would then say Audition and Fairlight in terms of usability. But I think Fairlight's going to get a big boost, and I think down the line it's going to be very interesting to see how people compare the Final Cut and Blackmagic ecosystems over the next 2 years.
Very interesting. So I've got a comment from Michael P. Schmidt on YouTube. Yeah, the Fairlight in Resolve is not that good. That's disappointing because they show it with the mixing board and stuff. And it looked really interesting when I saw it demoed last year at NAB. So are we expecting Resolve 15 this year?
I would almost they do it every year.
That's what I thought.
I'm not operating on inside information. It's just what I would guess is they introduced Fairlight last year and some of these other things. They've grown leaps and bounds on the edit side. I think really I was at the Resolve conference. We sponsored that. Final Cut is my first love, and that's what I use when I do my stuff. But I still keep an eye out on things, and our customers use all of the different ones, and it's our job to know and support them. And so we keep a pretty close eye on what everybody's doing. And at the Blackmagic conference, I would say the Blackmagic ecosystem is maybe, and community is probably about where the Final Cut community was 3 years ago.
Very interesting. So yeah, I'm expecting a new update from Resolve, and at some point I'm going to jump in and try it out. But I like to get, I don't want to jump in too early and do a lot of things that somebody else is going to work out the problems.
Here's what I would say is Final Cut editors should not even be remotely threatened by Resolve. Resolve is a competitor to Premiere and Avid. It is very track based. So if you've gotten used to not having tracks, it's not for you. Like it's like, so right now I would say Blackmagic, Adobe, and Avid are all competing around the same Final Cut 7 Avid market that has been there. I would say Avid's going to lose that market in the next couple of years, and it's going to be up to Adobe or Blackmagic to take it. Meanwhile, Apple's doing its own thing, and if you're already in that ecosystem, you're not moving. There's no way.
Right, exactly.
Because I watched a lot of the Blackmagic editing. I don't think there is any way that someone who's already using Final Cut on the edit side is going to go and start editing things with Resolve. It's just not going to happen.
Right. Now, you don't have to comment on this, but I'm going to comment on it because I can. So we haven't got an update 10.4 yet. It's over 90 days. And I say the closer we get to NAB with no update, it could mean there's going to be something that the Final Cut Pro team is going to announce, or something's going to happen closer to NAB then. Well,
here's what I can tell you is that Apple is presenting at NAB at FCPEXchange.
Right. Right.
And I don't know what they're going to be presenting, like they're going to do what they're going to do. But I know they were just recently at Lacy Pug giving a presentation that just got put out. And I would guess that they probably will not give an identical presentation.
Exactly. Plus, it's hard to predict what Apple's going to do based on their past, because they change. Especially if they become predictable, they change. So even though 10.2 came out, there was an update, a bug fix update within 30 days. 10.3 came out, there was a bug fix update within 30 days. 10.4 came out, no bug fix update. It's been 90 days. So I'm just saying, since it's the closer we get to NAB, and right now we're only like 3 weeks away, I'd say the odds of something coming out around NAB, it could come out Friday before or whatever, but it will give them something to talk about, whatever they got up their sleeves. I mean, I have no idea, but it just seems logical.
Well, look, I would say if you like Final Cut 10, FCPEXchange is mandatory for you to attend this year.
And that's Monday at 5.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, it starts at 5, and it's over on. I think it's near the North Hall. So, you are going to want to be there, and you're going to want to be at the Guru Gathering. There's an incredible lineup of things that even if you weren't interested in what Apple was going to present, that you should be there for, and you're going to want to go to FCPEXchange this year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Last year was pretty full. Noah did say that there's 2 different ways they can configure that room depending on how many people are going to be there. So he was saying that the lower configurations already pretty much reached. So they're not looking at the larger configuration. And by the way, he said that FMC has something to do with giving them that space because it's their area or something. That's their contribution.
That's where post-production world happens. So
right.
They're working with they're working with us to put that on, and they're definitely helping put the event on, and we're very excited about the lineup this year for FCPEXchange. On the case study level, there's 2 brand new ones. So Desposito, if you guys know what that is, which is the most widely viewed basically thing in history, they'll be presenting, as well as Ben Jehoshua, who is in Los Angeles, just did Spotify's first original TV series in Final Cut 10, and is now and has separate production company, Brian Grady Media, where they do all of their stuff out of Final Cut 10, is going to be presenting some stuff around their workflow. There's going to be presentations from Steve and Mark, as well as Atomos and DJI have something pretty interesting that they're going to be presenting as well. And then, of course, there's whatever Apple's going to show us.
So you know what DJI and Atomos is going to show?
I don't know anything. I know they're presenting it Faster Together too.
Well, when I talked to Noah, I said it's those two are curious because they haven't been associated with Final Cut Pro in the past, specifically, especially DJI, which to me is a guy. They have gimbals, camera gimbals, and they have drones. So
I'd say you're probably going to want to come to FCPEXchange this year. Yeah. And also Atomos will be, actually, I don't even know if I was supposed to say they're presenting at Faster Together because that hasn't officially been announced.
Well, yeah, so some of them overlap. Some of those shows overlap. I mean, I think,
but there will be, I think if you care about Final Cut 10, FCPEXchange is the place to be this year. And then the Guru Gathering is happening immediately afterwards, where basically it's going to be the big giant Final Cut party. And so Monday night is going to be the Final Cut night. And then Faster Together is going to have plenty of material Final Cut related over the course of 3 days. There will not be something for you not to do if you care about Final Cut 10 and you're at NAB this year. It's going to be a party.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, Faster Together, let's go over that a bit. 30 sessions in 3 days. So that's 10 sessions a day on average.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's all 15 to 20 minute sessions that are designed. Some of the panels might go a little bit longer, but it's all designed to be basically TED Talks for post-production. Everything under the sun. We're trying to get all of the topics. Patrick and I sat down and it's like, what do we want to know about? And then who do we want to hear about it from? And we just grabbed everybody and tried to see how many people we could get that we thought were super smart into one room over the course of 3 days.
Exactly. Plus it's fun.
That's really the goal is like, yeah, it's fun. And it's a place where you get to come and talk to people and, sit down in a theatrical setting, and it's all going to be available online after the show. So
absolutely. Yeah.
We have, the lineup's going to be coming next week. Please go to fastertogether.com in the next week or two. And the lineup's going to be dribbling its way out over the next couple of weeks. If you go to fastertogether.com, you can sign up to get alerted to when the official lineup's going to be announced. You don't need to register. You can just walk in and it's going to be first come, first serve for seating. And basically all Q&As and questions, the presenters will be next door to come and talk. So like this will be a place to pretty much learn anything you might ever want to learn in terms of. I think you
have an optimal setup this year with the Faster Together in one room and then the other suite right next door. So it's like an overflow area as well.
Yeah, we are extremely excited. And we're really excited about the lineup too. We think it's going to be stuff that's really relevant to no matter what type of editor you are. It's really relevant to what people are doing. And in all aspects of editing, not just Hollywood editors, but like what is everybody dealing with? And there's a speaker for you.
Exactly. And there's a secret party LumaForge is throwing Wednesday night, and you won't find out where it is anywhere online. You have to come to one of either the Faster Together or their workflow suite next door to be invited to that, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So if you've heard about it here and you come to the workflow suite and you ask someone wearing a LumaForge t-shirt or apparel, they will give you the destination for the party Wednesday night.
That is excellent. I'm looking forward. It's like so much Final Cut Pro stuff, you're the Faster Together for 3 days, and then the FCPEXchange, and then the Guru Gathering, and the
Super Meet.
And the Super Meet on Tuesday. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll be talking to Michael.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's wall-to-wall Final Cut, basically.
Absolutely. We love that stuff. And the Final Cut Pro community, maybe you don't get enough recognition sometimes, but from the Final Cut Pro community, I'm telling you that we appreciate Faster Together a lot. All these things, the FCPEXchange, the Super Meet, and the Guru Gathering. We appreciate all of it, but especially the Faster Together, because you're doing it for 3 days.
Well, look, I mean, it's going to be a who's who of the Final Cut world over there. It'll be me, Patrick, you, Chris Fenwick is emceeing. Bill Davis is going to be there throughout. Ronnie Curtins is going to be there throughout. We'll miss Peter Wiggins because he's across the pond, but like Steve Martin will be there.
Right.
Philip and Greg from Intelligent Assistance, Roger Bolton, and then all of the presenters and with some brand new case studies that people have not heard about before. I think you'll probably even see a bunch of Apple people cycling through over the course of 3 days. Luke was talking about maybe being there from 2 to 4 on Wednesday for people who are interested. So
that's interesting.
We don't know how much we can publicize that at this point, but like the bottom line is it's going to be a destination for the Final Cut community. You're almost guaranteed to be able to talk to someone knowledgeable there no matter what time you come in over the 3 days. And then you might be amazed by how many people are in the same room during some times.
So this has changed in the last 2 years, the Final Cut Pro 10 representation in NAB, because prior to that, there wasn't nearly as much. I'm not even sure what they had prior to LumaForge coming in there last year and FCPEXchange doing Apple presentation. What was there the year before as far as Final Cut Pro 10 officially?
Well, Noah and I have been doing the well, actually, there was nothing on the show floor. We'd been doing stuff either at the Renaissance, which was the hotel right next door for FCP Works.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of this is just building on what Noah and I had been doing at FCP Works, and now we're just bringing it all on the show floor so people don't have to like go to other hotels or go to these different places. It's all just going to be in one area. So, and then it's going to be over and then there's special events, which is FCPEXchange, but that's still just like walking. So now basically it's just centralized and bigger.
That's excellent though. I mean, if it wasn't for Final Cut Pro centric events, I'm not that interested in coming to NAB because I can watch the videos online. I can, Black Magic, I think last year they announced before the NAB, they had their videos up before NAB.
I mean, honestly, this is the secret reason to come to NAB, which is actually to see people you would never get to see or meet otherwise.
Exactly.
That's the reason. It's why people go to the Creative Summit. So it's either here or the Creative Summit. These are your only really 2 opportunities to come and like meet in person all of these people that are in your community online and that you're reading all this stuff about. And don't come to NAB to see the booths. I mean, look, you're going to go walk through and you're going to see some of that. And it's kind of a cool thing for a little while, but like the real reason to be there is for all the different events and to see all of the people that matter to you over the course of 3 days. And that is
absolutely,
it's the conversations and the people that actually matter. The booths and the gear is kind of a sideshow, honestly.
Yeah, it's you're right. Last year I was here the first time, and it was Bill Davis took me through a quick tour, and it was just like overwhelming. Volume wise, walking distance wise, there's so much information, but I can get most of that information online. I mean, people have, it's exciting to be there. It's absolutely like being in a giant post-production circus the entire time.
Well, that's exactly it. So look at it this way. This is actually, I think, the best way to describe it. You can go to the Super Bowl by yourself and you will go and see all of these strangers that you don't know. But probably the best way to experience the Super Bowl is to go to the Super Bowl with 40 of your friends and have an entire block of rows or part of the stadium blocked out. And then you're just going to hang out and travel together. And it'll suddenly be a far different experience than if you were just there by yourself and you didn't know anyone that you know. Our goal is to create that sort of Super Bowl experience where everyone takes a bus and like they're all sort of in this together and there's a place to hang out and talk while you experience the Super Bowl. That's what we're trying to do.
Right. They said instead of the Super Bowl, it's Final Cut Pro 10.
Well, yeah, and it's the community, and I guess the Super Bowl essentially is going out on the show floor and seeing all of this stuff, but like the game itself is almost less important than the experience you're going to have meeting and talking to everyone there.
So I know you're not going to have any time to do anything except for LumaForge stuff, as far as I know. But if it wasn't for that, what would you be interested in seeing at NAB this year?
You don't know the sad truth. I've been on the show floor once in the last 3 years, and it's usually on a Thursday because that's our quietest day. And I go walk around, and I'm generally unimpressed for the most part because most of the press releases have come out. I honestly do not care whatsoever about the show floor. I probably shouldn't say that, but like, it's just true. I don't care. I care about the people I know who are working at the booths at the show floor that I want to go meet and talk to, you know, and that's, it's for me, it's all about relationships. I literally, everything else is just something I will find out about online or someone else is going to tell me about.
Exactly. That's what happened with Black Magic. I think it was last year. They had their videos out for Resolve 14 before the show. So it was kind of anticlimactic. And I don't know. I don't think they're going to have any cameras this year announcements. I mean, they surprised us originally when they had that camera. I didn't see that coming. The first one they had out, the Black Magic camera.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I bet you there's going to be some surprises. Who knows? You know, the last couple of years have been quiet, but usually Black Magic, this is their launch pad. So, you know, I think we can probably expect them to do something. Adobe, I'm sure, will have some really interesting things. You know, I mean, these are those companies' sort of launch pads for their products where they're going to tell you what the roadmap is. So you'll see all of that literally online, but actually being there for it, you know, it's, you should go there knowing who you want to see and follow those people. Like, you know, there's people like the Mixing Light guys there, or who are doing really interesting things. They're always giving like, there's people and organizations there that make this fun. If you're going there to be sold to, just show up on the show floor and walk around. Right.
Exactly. So I'll be streaming live as much as I can, depend on internet connection. You know, that's going to be the big determining factor, as it always is. I can't stream if I don't have internet connection.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna, you know, that's the only one downside to all of this is weirdly the internet on the show floor. We're gonna see what we can do. We haven't totally figured out what our limitations are going to be with internet yet. But at the very least, worst case scenario, we'll find a place for you to do some uploads, you know,
and you can absolutely.
You know, and that's no problem.
Because I've heard from a lot of people, especially people overseas that can't make it, that they really appreciated, you know, the live updates, at least the live updates that came through last year. I mean, I had the 2 million seat announcement up pretty quickly, and that, you know, it's got like 8,200 views so far or something like that. All the news sites picked that one up, so that was a lucky one.
Yeah, I think, listen, it's good that you're going to be there. I think you will probably, especially, I mean, like, I know we're not taping FCPEXchange, so making sure that information gets out there, I think, is going to be a really good thing.
Absolutely. And then the Guru Gathering, I'm going to have a little session there, a little area there for people who want to come up and talk as well. So
yeah, I would tape a bunch of interviews and stuff there. I mean, that's going to be kind of a who's who as well. So if you're looking for something to do Monday night and you care about Final Cut, that's really the only place to go.
And so the Guru Gathering is $25, but that includes some kind of a meal.
Yeah, there's food, and I think you get drink tickets. I think I'm guessing that, or for at least the first, I don't know. I don't honestly know how it's working right now. We're figuring it out with Ripple and the other sponsors. We're sponsoring, but I don't think we know the exact things that everybody's getting, but I think it does include at least one drink ticket, I want to say, if you buy it. Like, no one's making money off of this. Vegas is very expensive, so that's, I don't know. We got a lot going on.
Absolutely. All right, I think we're in pretty good shape here. I think we're in pretty good shape.
And if you guys are looking for anything to figure out where we're going to be, or register or find out all this stuff, if you go to lumaforge.com/NAB, that has pretty much everything you need to know. FCPEXchange, Guru Gathering, Super Meet, and both the Workflow Suite and Faster Together. All the information you need is at lumaforge.com/NAB. So, Richard, if you put that in the show notes, anything I talked about is there.
Absolutely. And the full lineup will be out, you think, in a week or so for Faster Together?
Yeah, it's coming up, so we got to put it out. I mean, we have we have everything except I think for 1 or 2 slots filled, and then it's just a question of how we're announcing and putting all the presentations up and the times and all that, which is largely decided. It's just around us now getting official OKs and presentation titles and dotting I's and crossing T's and putting the lineup out there.
Absolutely. All right, Sam, we're going to stop the broadcast. If you don't mind, just hang on when I stop it.
Yeah, no problem.
And thanks, everybody, for stopping by. We're going to have more Final Cut Pro TV episodes coming up. I'll make the announcements on Twitter and on Facebook and all the usual places. But anyway, thanks for stopping by today. Thank you, Sam, for stopping by.
My pleasure.
We'll see the live audience later. I'm going to talk to Sam off the air a little bit. Thanks.